All right. Welcome back. We're going to live stream our results here. Video unavailable. Okay. I don't know if this is streaming live or not, but you guys back? All right, let's do this. I'm streaming this live, just FYI, to YouTube.
In
YouTube
this
channel.
video, we're going to go from
Uh-oh.
sketching out drum patterns to
All right, cool. Let's get going. Sorry, I'm a little late getting
Well,
back.
my submission is not submitted yet.
For anybody going to watch the replay on this, what this is it's our game, our weekly game on the hook. And if you go to onthehook.games, you can play along. We have 1 hour to use the samples provided to make something. So let's see what each other have. I'm going to show real quick. I'm going to share my screen and show what the sounds were. Today's game was called Beatbox Champion. So we took some sounds like this. And we had to make something in 1 hour. And so we are going to check out each other's results now. So who's ready? Greg's ready. All right, cool. Oh,
Yay!
I forgot to upload mine. Sorry. Hey, we got Robert back. Cool.
Hey, Robert.
Hey, Robert.
Hey.
All right, cool. So we'll start with Greg. We'll just do them in order. We're going to start here at Greg's. Nice, man. Very cool.
Thanks.
You took the that real gentle, like, right, and you kind of made that your main piece of instrumentation on that. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't actually know which specific pieces I was using because I just did I did this in Bitwig because they have this feature. They've got a real nice slice to drum machine with a sample like this. So you just tell it, slice it onsets, dump it to a drum machine, and then it's playable. So I wasn't paying attention to where each of those things came from,
Oh, okay.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's the three. I just there's the kicks, the snares, and then the other little hits, and I just took each of those and dumped into a drum machine, and then played the three parts. And then for the second, sort of after that break, when everything comes back in, the snares and hits, I just took those MIDI parts and moved them, swap places. So it's
Okay.
the different set of instruments playing the parts because I completely ran out of time to actually do all the stuff I wanted to do. All kinds of transitions and variations on the beat and everything. But I mean, just yeah. So it was kind of the quick and dirty version of just trade places and make them play each other's parts for a bit.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome. Well done, sir. Love it.
Thank you.
I like that kind of that pad that's almost sounds like a horns, like
Oh,
that.
that and the bass are from let's see here. from scraping a guitar pick on this.
Whoa.
What? Really?
Yeah, so scraped a guitar pick on that to create a bunch of samples, and then found uh, little sections of it to use for the synths. So
That's cool.
That's unique.
wild.
That's
Yeah.
Did it create
I
a
had no idea what
resonance
it was
when you
going to sound
scraped
like.
it, or did you like EQ it to get the resonance?
So yeah, it's just selecting sections, and actually, I think I used one of them was a granular. Where are we at here?
That's wild,
I have a
man.
bunch of guitar picks and a bunch of things I could scrape them on.
Yeah, so it's let's see, the bass is using actual cycles from the from a little section of the sample, so that's why it's got that really heavily gritty tone to it. Is it's you're hearing the pick vibrating across, and then the other one I think was oh yeah, no, also using cycles of it, just a different section, and then sped up so that it plays higher.
Unique
Again,
sound design.
Bitwig's built-in samplers for this kind of stuff are just the bomb. It's so quick and easy. Again, I think it's very similar to what Ableton has built in.
I would love to see you do a quick video. I don't know if you have time.
Yeah.
Quick video on what you did and how you did that. That's fascinating because it sounded really cool.
It did.
I could probably I've never done videos where I actually try and demonstrate something, so I don't know how good of a demonstration I can do, but I could certainly try.
Well, I
That
don't
would
want
be
to
cool.
give you a big task or anything, but if you feel like it, I use Loom a lot if I'm doing a quick video, Loom, and it's a way of you can just quickly create real quick videos
Oh, okay, cool.
on. So I usually do several of those a day for clients. I'm like, this is how you do this. Here you go, boom, and I just send them videos, and they love that because they can really see it.
Cool.
The only problem is because you're using a DAW, you'd have to output your audio to that, I think, or have some
Right.
kind of way of.
Well, this reminded me too, though. I have VSDC, and I think yeah, that does screen recording as well. I use it for editing, but that does screen recording as well. So I might be able to stream everything right into that, because I know that'll take a stream from Reaper. So
Okay, there you go. Sweet, man.
You guys.
Greg always amazes us.
I know. The
too much time on my hands.
Let's check it. Right on, man. That was badass.
That's all I could come up with for that short time, because I was trying to get I had some of the things a little bit too low. Some of the percussions that I used for the mount with the samples, I needed to bring them up higher. So, but
Sounded great to me.
I tried.
Yeah.
I think that was really cool. I liked the that instrument you brought in that has that filter on it that kind of swoops back and forth. It was really nice.
Yes, sir. Yes,
That was
sir.
cool. Is that from your Trident or something, or what is that?
That was from, actually, all of the sounds were from the Phantom, the Roland Phantom
That's what I meant.
module that I have. Yeah.
I knew you had one of those beasts.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Very
and it's just a nice. Go on, Steve. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's very groovy. I like the sort of vibe you set up there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was trying. I really was. As always, I got more ideas in my head and how to get them out in time. I run out of
Yeah.
time and everything. So
Right.
just
But I
trying to
think
keep up with you guys.
sometimes just keeping a couple ideas is all you need. Just tweak them until you really love them before you move on to another. It's not about the quantity. It's about
Yeah,
doing the best you can with one little idea, and
that's
just
true.
build on that.
Yeah.
I think we put too much pressure on ourselves to do too much.
I
Yeah, it's
do.
only an
I
hour.
Yep, I really do. That's me.
Some of the some of the most some of the best songs and some of the best productions are simple, like just sparse.
Yeah.
All right, cool, man. Loved it.
Thank you, sir.
The beatbox was great. It set up a really nice bed of percussion. Are you quantizing the percussion or are you just playing it?
I wanted to do like Greg did, put it in a program and it spices it up, but I was kind of pressed for time. So I actually just cut everything up and moved it manually and placed it, see how it sounds and move it, try to get it in time with my metronome that's on the in Reaper, just kind of make sure it was landing in the right spots. But some were a little off, but I'm like, oh well, it's got to be humanly like. So I said, let me just leave it.
Yeah, I mean that's a common thing that I've heard from producers is like, try to avoid the grid if you're trying to make it feel more real. There's just like, certain things like the kick drum and the snare need to be a lot closer usually.
Yeah.
If they're like the
Yeah.
driving force. Like if it's audibly like, okay, that didn't land, like I get very particular and we'll go back and make sure. But for this one I experimented with leaving it on the grid on quarter note instead of eighth or even closer to just like manually slide it around to like get it roughly the same spot.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robert, are you familiar with using stretch markers in Reaper? Are you doing that, or are you just chopping things up and moving the chunks of audio around?
This time I just chopped things up. I actually have used a stretcher last year and
Okay.
I forgot how to do it. So I got to go back and listen to I forget the guy's name who does all the little
All
training
those
things on.
tutorials. I just want to
Yeah.
make sure you knew about it at least, because it's one of
Kenny
those
Joya,
features
I
that
think.
people tend to overlook, and it's super useful.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you say, Steve?
Kenny Joya, I think.
Yeah, that's him. Mr. Joy, yeah.
Good dude. If you're looking to learn Reaper,
He's the
he's
guy.
got all the tips. Yeah.
That's so cool that you guys all help each other with that.
Pretty
I need to find some Ableton people in this group so
No,
we can
no.
fight you off, fight off the
No,
pressure.
this is a Reaper group right now.
Yeah. You're the outsider.
This is no longer on the hook. It's Thursday Reaper Club.
You gotta get with it.
No!
There you go.
All right, that was great, man. You have such a distinct style to your playing. You have such wonderful jazz chords, and you bring such an interesting. You just have an interesting signature that I love your contribution in this. So, all right, I will. Let's check out mine. Mine was
Very nice.
sick.
I like that.
I
My
know.
favorite was the hi-hats. Your hi-hat work was really cool there.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, the whole thing had a great atmosphere to it.
It did.
Very moody.
Yeah, it was kind of moody, but the chords are very basic. Just
Mhm.
Two minor, 6 minor, 1 4, I think, or 1 5.
Mhm.
Anything of note to add to this? I made a drum rack and then played it on my pad I'm trying to use my Ableton Push a lot more, which is, like the Contact has a version of that where with all the pads and stuff. And it syncs perfectly to my DAW, so it can just create, but I don't know what it is about the Ableton Push, but I'm always confused on like, okay, how do I change the velocity of this, or how do I duplicate that or whatever? But what is cool is I can, like, when I was doing the hi-hats, I wanted to add a little bit more intervals, or what do you call it? Like 30-second notes into some of it. And so I can just put it into 30-second mode and just hold down a trigger to, when I want to inject that a little bit. So that was kind of fun to play with. I had never done that before. And then the pad was, I was using, I really like this. It's called BA1. It's kind of like an old sampler of a lot of different pads and a lot of 80s synths and stuff sort of rethought of. And then the bass is actually a new plugin I've just bought called Bass Camp. And it's just a real simple, it was like $29 the other day. And I really like the sounds in it. However, I cannot do any portamento in it, which I hate. I hate not being able to slide between notes.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that when I bought it. I just assumed they would have a knob for that, a glide knob.
Yeah.
But I do like the bass sounds in that. So I just kept it very simple. It's just percussion and the bass and the pad. Oh, and then piano. I added a piano into it a little bit, which really makes it, of course, moody as immediately with a reverbed piano.
Yep.
All right.
Nice, man.
Steve, let's do it.
Cool.
My first thoughts was, is he doing something different in the time signature? And I realized, no, it's still 4/4. It's just, you're just changing up where those snare, the 2 and 4s aren't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
Yeah, that was good.
Oh,
that was
thanks.
really good. You guys, there's people that you can listen to, and I really love coming on here because of that. People you can
Yeah.
listen to, and they just make you just want to stop playing. But
Yeah.
you guys give me so
See
much
that.
inspiration, and you make me want to do more. I'm like, oh, I want to do that. I want to, you guys are good.
Oh, thank you.
That's why we should do this, because we help each other. I love that, man. Can you walk us through what you did on it?
Yeah, so I actually started with my own beatbox to get the rhythm, because I had it in my head. So it's like the I just recorded that, and then I layered, like, I lined up all the drum hits manually, and then just kind of like looped that.
Nice. That probably saved a lot of time, but just doing it like that.
Yeah.
Because you're just playing.
I found that actually that works really well, because I have like the idea in my head and I can beatbox well enough to like capture it and then just like, graft on actual hits to what I've been beatboxing. So that was fun, and that took me maybe 15 minutes to get the groove down. And then I was like, all right, I need some other stuff. So I put a bass line in there that just sort of like, all right, this is it. Didn't think too much about it. It's like, here we go, boom, bum, done. Then I layered that with some piano, and then I was like, all right, per your request last time, I'm going to spend much more time on the vocals. So with like a whole 40 minutes, I just started like layering vocals and try to make it more melodic, and like adding chords. And I was like, all right, how can I sort of make these harmonies a little bit more interesting? So I did some interesting stuff. Didn't think theoretically about what I was doing. I just sort of improv sang
Yeah.
harmonies. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I put different effects on the vocals to make them more distinct than just like direct, you know, copying, effects chains. Um, but
Yeah, you could
yeah,
tell that you had a lot more vocal time in this, and
yeah,
it paid off. I mean, you can
Yeah.
really, it's so interesting how it layers and there's harmonies coming in and great separation in there. It's really
yeah,
great.
thanks. Yeah, I still want
Whoa.
to do more. Like towards the end, I was like, do I add another layer or do I add more energy in the drums? And it's like, all right, I'm gonna add more drums, but I didn't add enough drums in my mind to make it differentiate enough. It like wasn't loud enough. I added another whole drum kit. And I basically like did the same beat on top, but it wasn't like punchy enough to make that impact. So that's something I need to go back and fix. Um, because a lot of what I do in these like hour-long sessions is like, all right, I have an idea, and now I'm just gonna stack things on top of it and then spread them out so they
Yep,
get like a
same.
staircase kind of effect. Um, but I think my challenge for next week is to create a little bit more arrangement. So like kind of what you did, Zion, where you had like you stripped things out and had it more open towards the end,
Mhm.
like kind of shifted. I want to get something like that in there. So
But I
it's
kind
not
of did the
just
same thing. I start off with just a loop and I just keep adding
Mhm.
ideas, and then I'd spread them all, staircase them, pull things out, and then
Yeah,
um but yeah, just if I try to arrange at the beginning, it's too daunting really quickly.
yeah,
I just need to establish that groove, that feel, and then
yeah.
a lot of things kind of fall into place.
I find if I do exactly the same thing too. I find if I try to arrange too early, I end up scrapping most of that anyway, because then the
Mhm.
stack of ideas that develops never fits that
Mm.
first draft of arrangement properly. So it ends up being just wasted time.
Right.
Mm.
It's easier to arrange when you have something to arrange, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know my issue becomes though, like I'm working on rearranging or developing several of these on the hook, challenges. And I'm just like, all right, I have like this core thing, but because I never like developed a second section, like that then becomes the daunting part. It's like, how do I further arrange it? I have like a 1 minute arrangement. How to make it a 3 to 5 minute arrangement? And that's just like,
Start Frankensteining them together.
yeah. I think there's probably several I could, if I change the key or the tempo a little bit, it would probably mesh up. But
Greg, you need to make a plug-in to do that called Frankenstein.
Right, that just grabs
Oh.
previous projects and starts. Actually, current technology can do that pretty easily. There's already stuff to automatically adjust. Yeah, like so, you can already automatically adjust key, right? You
Yeah.
can already automatically adjust tempo. So you could absolutely have a plugin that randomly grabs from, some set of folders and then forces whatever samples it finds to at least be in the same key and tempo.
Wow.
that'd be cool. I
I
can
couldn't
That
probably,
write
would.
that, but
There's
I know
probably
somebody
DJ
probably
software that,
could.
yeah, do it.
Wow.
There's
Got
probably
a
DJ
question.
software that does stuff like that.
Got a
yeah,
question.
that's
Steve
fair.
was talking about the energy for the drums. I'm curious, what do you guys do to put more energy in your drums? Saturation, volume, transit changing, or gating, or whatever? What's what do you do to add energy to your drums?
I I added some saturation. I like decapitator. It's fun. Um and then I for some of the samples they didn't seem to bite quite enough, so I um time squished them and then chopped off the ends to make them a
Mm,
little like punchier. That seemed to work. Sometimes it's tricky with this because it's vocals and there's all this other like sound stuff. So I was messing around with like pitch and drive and stuff, and that kind of worked. Um, but yeah, that I normally like I'll start with some kind of saturation or some kind of if it's a physical sample, playing around with slight time shifting to see if that sort of
hmm.
changes. Because sometimes like the tail is too long or something like that, and it's like I don't want it to be purely cut off, but if I shrink it, that might make it
Gotcha.
punch a little better and
Okay.
give room for other hits to come in on top.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, just if I could throw my 2 cents in there, I find that if I spend a little time on the front end and really getting separation in the drum samples with placement and in EQ, just EQ them a little bit, making sure that my kicks have a good thud to it. I actually took out some of the mids in my kick, my beatbox kick,
Okay.
and then I added a touch of reverb to some of the hi-hats and snare sounds. And but that's just afterwards. I've got to they got to sound good without any effects on it personally for me. And
Okay.
then I can start kind of adding a little bit, because then when you add stuff, it's just so easy to just add a little bite to it, this or that.
Mhm.
But the times I try to throw effects on there, either saturation or delay or reverb or anything like that first, I kind of screw myself, because then I kind of get tangled up in what's wrong with this? Something's wrong. The other thing I love to do is I find certain sounds to spread. I'll use a stereo widener. I didn't on this one, but if I had more time, I probably would have done that on like some of the snare sounds, to kind of separate it so that the kick is sort of in the middle, and then you have a slap or something like that on the sides, or hi-hats maybe.
Yeah. That's a good point though. Like sound selection is really big. Like I usually, if I'm dragging in samples, I'm very picky about what I'm pulling in to make sure by itself, just like clicking through, it sounds like, all right, this is basically the sound that I want. And then I'd have very little work that I need to do aside from like, all right, I want this to like hit harder, like the same sound, but just a harder hit. That's when I usually put the saturation or
I'm
whatever.
Yeah.
really picky about that too, because I'm just hyper aware of whatever drum hit I'm putting in here. I'm going to be hearing it over and over and over.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
got to be something I want to hear over and over and over. If I get annoyed with it, 2 minutes into working on the project, going back for something else.
Yeah. One last thing. Do you guys, because you're talking about the drums and the placement, I mean, like say snare and kick straight in the middle, or would you go from the audience perspective or from drummer's perspective, where the hi-hat would be on the left or the right, or does it matter?
For me, I don't ever, even though I'm a drummer and I can think that way, I don't I do whatever sounds good for the song, because nobody's
Okay.
going to sit there. First of all, most people don't listen to things in true stereo anyway. They're listening to it across the room, and the stereo kind of gets lost in the room, or it's coming out of one speaker, or it's in a TV ad or whatever. So
Okay.
I don't think about that at all anymore. I used to really consider that a lot. Um, I just do it whatever sounds great. So kick, usually the low end of any instrument I try to keep toward the middle, and then I use some kind of gate or what would you call it? What do you call it?
Feedback
Side
compression.
chain kind of thing to
Hmm.
keep the kicks and the bass separate a little bit. I
Yeah.
didn't have time on this one, but
Gotcha.
then I try to keep those very mono, the low end of those instruments. The high end, I like on the bass to spread the high end of the bass, and you can do that by either duplicating the bass and low passing one and high passing the other, and then putting a stereo spreader on the high pass so you get that feel.
Never
Or
done that.
If
yeah,
if I could jump in on that for just a second, if you have ozone, the ozone imager has banded stereo spread. So you can, without having to go through and do any other routing, you can just put ozone imager right on a track and then only spread everything above like 150 hertz, because everything below that kind of won't anyway. So
yeah, you'll get
Okay.
run into phase issues real fast with those low frequencies. Yeah, play around with that a little bit. It's a
Okay.
fun thing to do, definitely.
Cool. That was it for my questions.
Well, sweet. All right. Well, that was great. Let's see. Next week's game is Dune. We're going to be doing some Arabian type sounds, or this is all vocals though. So a bunch of little clips and stuff that I thought were really cool. And I called it Dune just because of the movie.
Yeah, I heard Dune 2 is supposed to be coming out, or is it out? I don't know.
can't wait. I
Coming
love
soon.
I gotta see it.
the soundtrack to the Dune was amazing.
Oh, go Hans, Mr. Zimmerman.
All right, guys. Awesome. Thanks for hanging. See you next week.
Sir.
Yeah, man.
Alrighty.
Wait.
Later.